We have a tradition here at the Detroit Regional Chamber Mackinac Policy Conference that we recognize exceptional leaders in their last year here at the conference. This year, I'm very proud to recognize my friend, the Honorable Gary Peters. Gary has served this state and this nation in multiple roles. In uniform, as a member of the Armed Services, at the state level, at the U.S. House of Representatives, and the U.S. Senate. When I first came to Michigan 15, 16 years ago, Gary was one of the first people I sat down with. I was a retired member of the Bush administration. Gary had just been elected to the U.S. House after a distinguished career in the legislature. Gary didn't care that I was a Republican and he was a Democrat. All he wanted to do was talk policy, especially small business policy, and he wanted to know how we could work together. There was never a conversation about political endorsements or campaign checks. Very quickly, it became personal, a personal relationship between a Democrat and a Republican who to this day has thrived and flourished. Now, personal friendships are great, but what his accomplishments are even greater. There's one senator in the U.S. Senate that has been recognized as the most effective U.S. senator, and he's standing to my right and your left. He has passed more legislation than any other U.S. senator during his time in that body. And I have a thing for U.S. senators because I started my career working for one. I know a good U.S. senator, and I know an exceptional U.S. senator, and Gary Peters has been an exceptional U.S. senator for this state, this country. On automotive issues, on the environment, and on national defense. Gary, on behalf of the Detroit Regional Chamber, I thank you. We are honored to have your service. We're going to miss you terribly in the U.S. Senate, but we're happy that you and Colleen are coming home.
That's right. Thank you.
I'm here with some friends. Lisa, I'm going to turn to you first.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Sandy, and thank you, Senator Peters, for the distinct honor of actually paying tribute to you. I had to write notes because otherwise I would never get through this. So throughout his career, Senator Peters has been a fierce advocate for action to protect human health, our Great Lakes, and our drinking water, and most notably one of the strongest, most vital voices in Congress calling and supporting for the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. Indeed, Great Lakes and future generations have been literally part of your DNA and in your soul throughout this work. We at Michigan LCV have had the privilege of partnering with Senator Peters all the way back to the days that he was in the state Senate. And we worked together at that point to secure a moratorium on oil and gas drilling underneath our beautiful lakes. We continued fighting side by side to remove the pet coke piles along the Detroit River that were endangering the health and safety of Detroiters, and that was a very important piece of your work. You convened the first ever hearing in the United States Senate on PFAS contamination, working tirelessly to protect Michigan communities from the PFAS all over the state. and in the country. You've been a leader in protecting the Great Lakes from a Line 5 oil spill, and in the wake of the oil catastrophe in Kalamazoo years ago, you started the U.S. Coast Guard Great Lakes Oil Spill Center of Expertise at Lake Superior State University to close the gap in knowledge and techniques around oil spill prevention and cleanup in fresh water, which had not been done before. You also then went on to lead on a number of pipeline safety bills, and including a pivotal law that designated the Great Lakes as, we would all agree, an unusually sensitive area. Senator Peters has been absolutely instrumental in the passage of landmark investments in clean energy and climate resilience, from advanced manufacturing to electric vehicles, to the STORM Act, which establishes a funding stream to help communities invest in projects that protect from things like severe flooding, which we've seen all over the state, rising water levels, coastal erosion, and other natural hazards. And in your time in the Senate, in 2015, when you just began your time in the Senate, we had the Flint water crisis. And you stepped up together with Senator Stabenow and Congressman Kildee and a host of others, and you doubled down with a sharp focus on preventing and putting in place wraparound support for the people of Flint who had been affected by this awful, awful tragedy. You spearheaded legislation to strengthen lead action levels and notification requirements to prevent future lead and drinking water disasters across this nation. The state of Michigan, the Great Lakes region, and the nation as a whole has been incredibly fortunate to have a strong, determined, deeply committed partner in Washington representing the interests of Michigan's environment and Great Lakes. And there is no doubt Senator Peters serves as a profound example of what it means to protect the things that you most love. And for you, I know it's the people and the state of Michigan. So Senator Peters, your legacy, I know, will live on for decades and decades. Thank you for your hard work and the incredible passion that you've put into this.
My friend Dennis Archer Jr.
Thanks, Sandy. Let me first say I've learned from my mother and my father that Gary would not be Gary without Colleen. So Colleen, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me also say you can do a job or you can live the work, and Gary has lived the work. And we've heard very well articulated here all the things he's done. Coming from Detroit, obviously your support of the automobile industry, particularly during our recent troubled times, we are greatly appreciative. I feel obliged to also say, being the only brother up here, that you did well by black folks in the, well, Sandy kinda, but black folks, and we appreciate that. But let me say this, in all seriousness, let me say this. For the candidates, the four that we heard from today that are attempting to fill your shoes, I wish them the very best of luck. Very big shoes to fill. You have done an incredible job, and most important to me is that you are a gentleman. You listen, you are passionate. There's never a question in today's politics whether our leader is going to embarrass us. You've been a solid citizen during your tenure, and I thank you very much.
Brother Mark.
It's a compliment.
I'm gonna have to go talk to my mom. I don't know.
Cornell West reference, just saying.
Yeah, I don't think many of you realize this. We were asked to be up here, and it was a special opportunity for Gary to select some people that he's had great relationships and working relationships with over the years. And when he reached out and called and asked if I would be interested to say a few words on his behalf, I didn't take that lightly. I was actually choked up about it, to be quite honest with you. I was honored, because I've had a great working relationship with him, but developed a friendship over time. First starting in law enforcement as a sheriff is when I first got to really know Gary and his interest in public policy, but also in public service. And he really was always outreaching, trying to figure out what do we do to make things better within a community. And he's not the kind of person who would just stay in Washington. He was always present within a community and having conversations. I mean, whether he was having a conversation with me or the person at a donut shop, he was a guy that actually knew how to connect with people because he had that knack about him. But not only Gary, but his entire team. He understood how to build a team around him, the staff people that would do the outreach and connect with the staff that we would have, those of us that are public officials. And so with that, you know, Kevin, James, and even Jen, I mean, the work that they have done on your behalf and working with our staff has been absolutely incredible. And when you talk about that work, we could talk about automotive, we could talk about manufacturing, but the thing that was near and dear to me when I first became county executive is, what are we doing about a defense industry? A defense industry that we really had a prominence in that area, but it wasn't often talked about. We really didn't get out there and have conversations and try to figure out how do we grow it when we saw other areas in the country trying to steal these assets, trying to replicate what we're doing and doing it loud and proud. And so what we did is started moving forward to figure out how do we protect and grow the industry that we have, that we already had a footprint, we already have a foothold on. In fact, Southeast Michigan is the defense capital of the Midwest. But we started working together. And again, fortunately with Gary's leadership, today where we're sitting, we're no longer having to worry about so much of the protection because we have seen immense growth in the defense industry that is a benefit to not just Southeast Michigan, but the entire state. And when it came to Selfridge Air National Guard Base, all too often, we'd have these conversations about base realignment and closures, the BRAC studies. And Gary was at the forefront of that each and every time, trying to figure out what do we do to prevent that from happening. He was the integral part to make sure that we got the KC-46s at Selfridge Air Base to replace those refuelers. He was also the guy that kept saying we got to continue to fight for those fighters. And where we're at today has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with the work Gary did in Washington, D.C. on behalf of Selfridge Air National Guard Base, which just isn't a Macomb County asset. It's not just a state of Michigan asset. This is a national asset. And with that being said, here we are today making an announcement on the actual porch of the Grand Hotel with another $152 million to get started on a runway that needed to happen to release all those funds so that we can see $3.5 billion worth of new planes come into Selfridge Air National Guard Base. So that working relationship, along with then Governor Snyder and now Governor Whitmer, the incredible working relationship he had to work across the aisles. It wasn't about the R's and the D's, it's about the we's and how do we make things happen. And Gary, I'm going to tell you, I want to thank you for your leadership, your service, and most importantly, for your friendship. Thank you for everything.
Well, Gary, what you're hearing is that we all are going to miss you dearly, and you exemplify a lot of stuff can happen if no one cares who gets the credit. Gary, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sandy, Mark, Dennis, Lisa. Thank you for your words, and thank you for the work we've done together for a lot of years in Congress between House and Senate. It'll be 18 years, but some of it goes back to the state Senate with 8 years there, so it's been a long run. I've been blessed with an amazing advisor and a supporter that helped me every step of the way, has already been mentioned by Dennis. My wife, Colleen, thank you so much. And this is actually certainly a special day to be honored this way, but it's also an incredibly special day for Colleen and I, because today is our 32nd anniversary.
And he took you to a conference.
I was going to say, Sandy, I'm a hopeless romantic. And I said, honey, this is 32 years, we got to stay at the Grand. We're going to have a great meal, and I'm going to invite 2,000 friends. So thank you for being at my party. But thank you. Actually, thank you to everybody here. I think 32 years of marriage, but I think we've been coming to this conference well over 20 years. It may be close to 25 years. So this is really special to be here today. And kind of bittersweet. I think that I won't be here as an elected official, maybe in some other capacity, but not as elected official. And it's been wonderful to get to know everyone here. And this is really a special place where people do come together in a bipartisan way from all sorts of nonprofits and companies, and the amount of work that gets done, it's the porch, certainly great meetings here, but just what gets done on the porch and talking to folks. I always say that just walking down the porch is about a month worth of trying to find getting meetings with everybody here. So it's really efficient use of time. In fact, I was talking to some of my Republican state legislative friends about a bill that will help us do something that I did in the Senate right now. So that would not have happened except for this right now. I'm pleased, as Sandy mentioned, I've passed more bills than any other senator since I've been in the Senate. And I'll tell you, the secret to that is that I always find a Republican co-sponsor. I always work in a bipartisan way to bring people together. We know there are a lot of differences that we have, and we talk about those often and yell about them often, but there's a lot more that we have in common. Finding that common ground, coming together and solve problems for people, I think can be best done when you have both parties coming together. There is no monopoly on good ideas. It's about us coming together. It's the spirit of this conference, and it's what I think we need to restore, which something I've seen, unfortunately, fading in recent years. Over those 18 years, as we were passing all those bills, every year gets a little harder, gets harder. And oftentimes the people who I work with, who want to work on a bipartisan basis, when they leave, either they lose their election or they choose to go somewhere else, the person that follows them tends to be much further to the right or much further to the left. And it makes it harder to bring people together. Mm-hmm. So the final words I just would like to say for Michigan. I've been blessed, Colleen and I have been blessed to represent an amazing state. But it's a purple state. And I represent everybody, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you have to represent everybody and bring that spirit to the job. And it's not the person who yells the loudest, but it's the person that's going to be actually rolling up their sleeves and getting the job done. The American people deserve that. Everybody in Michigan deserves that. But when you select a candidate, please think about how they're going to govern. There's two parts of this equation. There's the campaign equation and the governing part. And I know a lot about the campaign part, running a lot of campaigns, and I ran the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee for the whole country for 2 cycles. But when you're done campaigning, you have to govern. You have to govern when you come, hang up the campaign slogans, roll up your sleeves, talk to folks across the aisle, talk to your colleagues on your side of the aisle, bring people together, get things done. That's been my commitment. Let's make sure we do that for folks going forward. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless you. Thank you.
Stay here for pictures. Step up. Step up.